should be played at high volume. This should be played at high volume. This should be played at high volume. Preferably in a residential area.
The following thoughts on Hoppe Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you. Voted as best local podcast in Tampa Bay by the Creative Loafing.
As I always do, let's test out these riveting levels. They look good for me. Talking to the mic, my man.
Test, 1, 2. Hello.
Looks great. Are you ready?
I'm ready, man.
What up? What is happening? This is Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, and I'm a big fan of promoting local comedy here in Tampa Bay since it's a very underrated market when it comes to comedy. Sometimes you think of New York City or Los Angeles or Nashville, but Tampa Bay is legit. And live on Hoppe Hour is comedian Jerod Walker. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on, man? Yeah.
How are you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. Yeah, Tampa's got a great comedy scene. Around here, lots of local talent, lots of names come through here all the time. You know, Tampa Improv, Side Splitters. So we got names coming through here all the time, and then we got a lot of local talent that you'll see coming out too.
What is your key to being seen since there's so much competition in this area and there's so many funny guys? How do you get your name out there?
Be funny.
Yeah,
that's pretty much.
Yeah,
that's the name of the game. I mean, when you're going out there, you just got to be. You know, if you can make people laugh, they're going to be like, "Oh, that guy's funny. Get him again."
Yeah.
So that's probably the best advice I can give.
And what type of humor do you do? Is it observational? Is it just jokes? What type of humor is your comedy?
I guess it's observational. I mean, I don't know.
I feel like all comedy is observational.
Yeah, I mean, I just I live my life and I kind of make jokes about what I'm going through. It's a lot of nerdy humor because I'm a bit of a nerd.
What are you a nerd for?
Name it, man. I'm a fucking uber nerd. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you can say whatever the fuck you want on here.
Sorry.
I'm a nerd for Adult Swim. I love Adult Swim. Aqua Teen, Family Guy, C-Lab. Are you a nerd for that?
Oh, absolutely, man. I used to be super. I'm not as big into Aqua Teen anymore. It's just, I think it's
it got
repetitive.
repetitive.
Yeah, it's like it's been going on for too long. But yeah, like they have a lot of great show. Boondocks. Amazing show.
Yes. Boondocks is the African-American version of South Park that is underrated. It's so good, dude.
Oh, man, I would say it's better than South Park, honestly. But
because it's just so raw.
Have you seen the new season of South Park?
I have not. I need to catch up, dude.
Oh, you got to check it out. If you haven't been watching, if you've been like somebody who's just like, oh, South Park's kind of lost its edge, I don't want to do it. The last 2 seasons have been great because they've been doing like story arcs.
And they're doing it on current events, like the fake outrage and that, right?
Yeah. Well, they've always been doing it on current events. That's what's cool about South Park is that like they find a topic and they shoot their episodes with like a week before it airs, so they're always like on point with what's going on.
Would you ever want to do a voiceover or anything like that? Because for me, I want to someday dabble my hands in adult animation since that's one of my things I'm into.
Absolutely, man. Being a voice actor is one of my first dreams. It was like, oh, I want to do stand-up comedy or I want to be a voice actor.
What type of voice acting would you do? Would it be a kid show, an adult cartoon? How would you see this playing out?
Anything they want to pay me for.
Yeah.
Honestly, like Billy West. I don't know. Do you know who Billy West is?
Fry, Zoidberg,
yeah,
Ren.
He's everybody.
Yeah.
He's everybody. Any cartoon that you've ever watched or any like movie or something.
Me and you are very alike when it comes to our TV viewing, I feel like.
Oh, pretty much. Well, I don't have cable anymore. I'm on
Me neither.
Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. I got all the streaming services. I canceled my cable. But before that, I pretty much just watched Comedy Central and Cartoon Network.
What did you think of the show Ugly Americans on Comedy Central? I liked it.
I liked it. I liked it as it went along. Like the first season wasn't that good, I thought.
Yeah.
But then like the second season it really picked up. It got pretty good.
To me, it was one of those things where it just didn't make sense after South Park. It was almost too smart. It was like South Park is so easy humor that's smart, but Ugly Americans was a show where you had to find the humor. And to me, those are the cartoons that don't do as well. And then you had Brickleberry, which is decent, but is also moronic. Like, I could make a show funnier than Brickleberry.
Well, I mean, humor's subjective, man, but I gotta say, yeah, Brickleberry wasn't that great. It's because a lot of those cartoons they don't take risks, or the company doesn't let them take risks.
Yeah.
Like South Park takes risks, and they kind of can't say anything because they've always been doing that.
And it's so successful.
Yeah, and it's successful. But like when somebody, as soon as like remember the Man Show?
Oh, yeah.
That show took risks when Adam Carolla and Jimmy Kimmel were running it. And then when Joe Rogan and Doug Stanhope
we
took
think
it over.
so alike.
No, this is true, though. But when they took over, pretty much the studio promised them, hey, you guys can do what you want. And then when they got there, they said, just kidding, you got to do what we want. And that's why it tanked, because they weren't allowed to do what they wanted to do.
TV executives are some of the most moronic and egos out there. They are complete dumbasses that don't know anything. They just seem like they are out of touch. The amount of good TV shows that have been canceled by Fox is out of this world, dude.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Like, they recently canceled Constantine. You ever watch that show?
I heard about it.
It was a good show. If you like comic books, if you're a comic book nerd, I'm a huge comic book nerd. That show was probably the most accurate comic book TV show based on Constantine that they could do, because it's like a magic user who can he drinks and smokes and doesn't give a fuck about anything.
Yeah.
And it was really good, and then just like too many like daytime TV moms complained like, "Oh, he's smoking. I don't want my children."
Was
to
it
see."
weed or cigarettes?
It was just cigarettes.
Oh, they can go kiss my ass then. They're the ones that are sitting at home smoking cigarettes, watching The Talk or The View.
Exactly. They see comic book, and then they think
Hypocritical
it's for
bitches.
kids,
Yeah.
so he can't smoke a cigarette. And then they got rid of that, and now they put on Lucifer, which I'm not a big fan of. I'm not liking it.
I lose you when it comes to comic books. I find it boring. Like, even Jessica Jones, watched the first 10 episodes, and I'm like, okay, Kilgrave's crazy. Jessica's an alcoholic that's horny and hurts people. Got it.
That's an argument I have had with so many of my friends. They're like, Jessica Jones, she's not even a superhero. She wears her costume. I'm like, it's a detective show, man.
It is a detective show, and that's what I liked about it is I'm trying to get into The Flash. Mm-hmm. This girl I've been going out with really likes The Flash.
Oh, dude, The Flash is incredible.
I just can't get into superheroes, dude. I'm more into like The Wire, Sopranos, Ray Donovan, Sons of Anarchy, any of those gritty crime shows.
Well, I mean, those are all good, but I'm a big superhero nerd. Like The Flash is bad. I like dudes dressed up in costumes, using fantastic powers, beating ass. It's awesome.
What type of superhero would you be?
If I could be a superhero, Batman for sure, hands down.
What would your best power be? Like, if you could come up with a superhero power to take over the world, Jerod Walker, what would it be?
Oh, like probably mind powers, like a Jedi.
Yeah,
lifts things up without even touching it. That's pretty badass, man.
Yeah, I've always wondered what could I do if I were to be a superhero. I like the whole idea of flying in the air, because then you can just go wherever you want. You can just fly over to Howard Franklin when it's traffic at 5 p.m. on Friday. I've always wondered about that, because I moved to town here. Everybody says to me, the Howard Franklin's not that bad. Or no, everybody said to me, the Howard Franklin's horrible. The Howard Franklin sucks. I'm like, it can't be that bad compared to Chicago, where I'm from. The Howard Franklin sucks, dude.
Oh, dude, our traffic system down here is garbage.
Like, I feel so clogged, and I feel like I'm never going to get out of there when it's 5 p.m. on a Friday. Like, you just feel like you're just trapped. It's horrible.
Oh, absolutely. We have just constant construction on all our highways. That's why.
I know. And then the jackasses don't know how to merge into a lane. Oh, my God. They either merge and they don't use their turn signal, or they don't let you merge and they just speed up. It's like, hey, jackass, trying to get into the right turn lane, douche.
Yeah, I can't merge, man. I don't like doing it. I'll change lanes before I merge.
I actually make sure if I have to get off of an exit in 7 miles, I'm so scared of Florida drivers, I'll just chill in that right lane for 7 miles if it's traffic. Yeah. There's no point to try and go around. In the Midwest, you can go around because people let you go in because they're normal. But here in Florida, dude, people are douchebags. It pisses me off.
No, absolutely. One time I went out to California, visit some in-laws and stuff, and when we got on the highway...
What part?
Like Los Angeles,
yeah,
in the LA area. So we're getting on the highway, and I was amazed. I was like, wait, people are coming up off the on-ramp, and people are slowing down to let them in? That's not normal behavior, because I've lived in Florida all my life.
Why are they being polite, and why are they showing manners like they care? What's this about?
Exactly. There's rules of traffic law here? What is...
People actually know how to drive?
No, absolutely. And I went to Michigan to do some comedy over in Grand Rapids.
What's that like? I've never been to Grand Rapids. I've heard okay things about it.
Actually, Grand Rapids is pretty nice. It's kind of like, you ever been like downtown Dunedin area, downtown St. Pete?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. The whole city is like that. So it's like everything's in walking distance. It was a pretty nice place to go.
I feel like it's a good drinking town.
Yeah, absolutely. If
That's how Cleveland is. It's just
that
you
place,
drink.
it's all breweries there.
I feel like the Midwest is just drinking because I'm from Chicago. I lived in Cleveland for 5 months, worked in radio there for 2.5 months, and then was a janitor at a gym until I moved here. And all you do is drink in Cleveland. Like when it's cold out, that's all you do, dude.
Oh, man. I like Michigan, but honestly, every time I've been there, I've gotten sick.
Is it because of the cold or the drinking, the food overs? What is it?
Well, the first time I went there, I got like the flu. Like the day I flew over there, it was like cold, and then I flew over there, and it just turned into the flu. So I was immediately.
Was this for
sick.
a comedy show?
It was for a comedy convention. The
How do you
Laugh Fest.
fight through it then if you're sick? I'm wondering that. Do you just kind of barf in the bathroom and then do a set and then barf, or how do you fight through it? It sounds horrible.
Lots of NyQuil.
Oh, my God, dude. And then sleep. Would you smoke any weed or anything to help maybe make the symptoms go away? Pepto-Bismol? Like, I can't even imagine doing comedy with a queasy feeling in me.
Man, I've been doing theater. Like, I don't smoke pot. I'll just say that right there. I don't do any drugs. I don't really drink. But like, I have nothing against it. I don't do it generally. And like, but typically I've been doing theater since I was like 6. So
What made you get into it?
I like performing. That's pretty much it, man. I've just been a little performer ever since I was a kid.
What's your favorite performance you've done?
Oh, stand-up comedy for sure.
What is your influence? Like for me, going into radio, was guys like Howard and Opie and Anthony. Who are your influences for comedy?
It's too many to name, man. I've been a stand-up comedian fan since I was 8, and my parents got HBO. Like when I was 8, I would stay up late and watch TV. Like, and I would be like, you know, like when you're a kid, you get HBO. Most people watch like the nudie flicks that are on there.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, Mom, Dad, you got to get HBO again. You got to get HBO. I was doing that too, but I was like, I don't care about these skin flicks. I want to see HBO stand-up specials. You know, the Young Comedian Awards. So I've watched stand-up from like over the years, from like the back in the 60s with Jonathan Winters, the Smothers Brothers. All the way, you know, to the newer guys like the Carlos Mencias, Louis C.K.
I hate him, dude.
Yeah,
Ugh.
he sucks now. He used to be funny.
Was it before he hit his peak?
Yes, it was before he hit his peak. Like back when he had like his HBO stand-up specials, it was way different than it was when he kind of like he blew up and became famous.
The Mind of Mencia show was so hacky.
Yeah, well, he's a joke thief, so.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of hacks. Did you think Amy Schumer did it?
I don't know. I disagree. I disagree with it because let me tell you why. When I first found out about it, a lot of people. Patrice O'Neal is a big influence on me as well. I'm a big fan of Patrice O'Neal, and Johnny B's out there.
Johnny B, come on in if you want to. Johnny B from the Bone Daily Rewind show and his own show, the Johnny B Show, is intruding on the show as always, where he peeks on me and creeps on me. I have comedian Jerod Walker alive. You want to say hi? Do you have any?
I'm back on the air.
Do you have anything to contribute?
Hey, buddy.
Do you have anything to contribute? You want to say hi?
Yeah, dude, your cock looks so big in those pants tonight, dude. Look at it.
Would you suck on it?
No, I'm not like that.
Yeah, he's not
I'm just
gay, man.
admiring your dick. I don't mean I'm gonna suck it. You're fucking weird, dude.
Yeah.
You're a weird dude.
Come on, yeah, Ryan. Come on, take a compliment, man. You got to take a compliment.
Have a good time. Do some prep like Mo. Dude, he is legit, man. I love this area. Like, it's a big city, but it's small when it comes to the comedy scene and radio. Like, everybody knows somebody.
When I first started doing comedy, I was hanging out with a buddy. He's been on your show before, John J. Murray.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine. And we first started kind of doing comedy together. Johnny B was one of the first comics we met. That dude, yeah, he's the real deal. He's like, there's no, like, you're not a real comic, I think, in this, at least a Tampa comic, unless you've done a set, bombed, and the only laughter you hear is Johnny B in the back laughing at you for failing.
That's what I heard too. I forget who told me that. I think it was not Cam Bertrand. Somebody. I've had so many Tampa comedians. I forget. I've heard about that though, where he brings his phone and it has the app where you hear the crickets. So if you absolutely bomb, you'll hear him with his laugh and then the crickets in the background.
Oh man. He's a monster.
Does that motivate you? Like when you hear someone like him who is a name in the comedy scene and then he's on the radio, does that motivate you when he's just mocking you?
Oh, absolutely. Like that motivates me anytime. I tell anybody who wants to get into comedy, one of the first habits you got to break yourself from is playing to the other comics. Like if you're telling a joke and the only people laughing are the comics.
Yeah.
You messed that joke up, man. It's not good. They're not laughing at you because they think it's funny. They're laughing at you because they think it's funny you suck.
Have you ever had it, though, where your show was amazing, but all the comics were ripping on it, maybe because they were jealous?
No, I've never really had that before. Like, honestly, I find most of the comics in the area are like, it's a pretty good community. Like, nobody really tears each other down. I mean, there's a few people that's like, people talk shit about them, but usually those people suck. You don't want those guys around.
I know the names, too. There's a lot of those that seem aggressive and over the top.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm not going to name any names because, like, I don't want to start trouble,
yeah, there's no reason to, but there's just names that I hear over and over where it seems like those are the ones who feel like since they've been doing it for so long, they deserve more credit.
That's an ego thing. That you see that especially, like, honestly, you see that mostly with newer comics.
Yeah, the ones that are up and coming and they're doing well, they might win Best Local Comic or something, and then they expect to get more gigs. That's the vibe I get just from radio and comedy, is when you're up and coming and you're doing well, you think you need to have as much success as someone like from Cigar City Comedy where they've been around for a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Like, people, that's just an ego thing. A lot of people get in, they get a few laughs. They're like, oh, I'm awesome. People laugh at me. I deserve stage time. You don't deserve nothing, man. You gotta get out there and work. You gotta ask for gigs. That's number one. Ask for stage time. You gotta go to places, getting with the club owners, tell them, hey, because it's comedy business, man. You gotta get into that.
Yeah, I've thought about it. I wish I wasn't so awkward in public. I would do comedy, but it's not for me. So I thought, how can I dabble my hands in it? And that's why I'm interviewing you guys, because comics are so fucked up and crazy. So are radio people, that it's a good mix. That's why when I have comics on my show, it always makes for good radio or podcasts, because it's just two insane people talking.
I mean, honestly, man, I'm an awkward guy off stage. Like, if I'm not on presence, I'm pretty. It's difficult to talk to me because I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to do.
I'm the same way.
I don't have a microphone in my hand.
I'm getting out of my shell a little bit since I came to town. But what I do see is this: with a lot of radio guys, comedians, TV guys, we live for our act.
Yeah.
When the mic is on or you're brought up in front of the audience, you're in the zone. When I'm here, I'm a lot different than when I picked you up outside. Like, once the mic is on, we're more outgoing. And it depends. If you're that weird off air, but you're that electric on air, there's something mentally wrong with you. You know what I mean? If you're that much of a shock jock when the mic's on, but off the air you're a mouse, that's when it gets weird.
Well, it's always an act. You just got to remember that we're putting on a performance piece, so sometimes we aggrandize ourselves, things like that. But yeah, like the best piece of advice I can give people, as far as if you want to do stand-up comedy, go to a couple open mics, watch the people on there, look for the dudes who bomb, the people who are just awful. That person's been doing it for at least a couple more times than you have been doing it. You can't be any worse than that guy. You've seen how bad as bad as it's gonna get when you see that guy bombing. You're physically incapable of doing worse than that, unless you literally trip off the stage and kill yourself. In which case, you're dead. What do you care that you look like a moron?
There was a comic at one of the local comedy clubs. Even though me bringing this up isn't talking about them or like making them look bad, I just don't want to say it.
Yeah.
But at the open mic, this dude did a top 10 list of why Santa Claus doesn't get along with Mrs. Claus. And he did this thing where he would like throw his right hand in the air as he did the top 10 list, wanting the crowd to get involved. Like he was trying to throw a football like Drew Brees. And he's like, okay, everyone with me. Number... And nobody said number 10. Then he's like, come on. And we're all like, number 10. Joke sucks. Number 9. Joke sucks.
Yeah,
and then we all go number 8 while he says number 5. So even he's fucking up his own list.
Yeah. Jeez, man.
It was one of the worst things, dude, I have ever seen. Like, I will never rip on a comic if they suck or not because they have more balls than me to be in front of them.
Yeah.
But I cringe, dude.
Oh, man. Crowd participation is a hard skill to master. You gotta pretty much learn how to work the crowd before you get them to start shouting out numbers on you for your premise.
Have you ever seen a comic, though, where maybe you get influenced by him and you have to take a few things back and go, I don't want to copy him? Because I've been listening to Howard lately on Sirius Radio.
Right.
And I like what he does. And then I find myself talking like him, and I go, okay, I can't listen to him for a few days because you get influenced, but you don't want to copy. You know what I mean?
Well, like I said, I've been watching stand-up comedy for years and years, man, and I don't think it's I mean, anything that you hear is going to influence you a little bit. I'm like one of those guys that I try not to listen to stand-up comedy before I go on stage because I don't want it to. It will affect me, and I'll change my speaking patterns. I'm one of those guys. If I go like a movie with a bunch of English accents, I walk out of the theater going, "Hello, it's me. I'm just talking like I normally talk. Like I'm like, why is everyone looking at me odd? You know, like I copy that and I can't help myself. So I try to stay away from that before I go on stage. But I find that if I'm just listening to my daily life, I haven't copied a joke. In fact, actually, comedy is one of the few things I can remember like crystal clear in my head. So like if I come up with a premise, I'll be like, oh wait, nope, that's this joke that Doug Stanhope did on this CD. Can't do that joke. Can't do that.
I think
premise.
comedy is a little bit different because it's one-liners that you don't want to take. But with radio, you have your own voice and your own mind, so you can't copy them unless you copy a bit. There's plenty of radio guys that have these fake names that copy the Howard dating game or talking to girls in porn. Yeah. But for me, I'm the same genre as them because I'm a little edgy. It's uncensored. It's fun. But I would say I'm original because I never do any bits. So that's what I like about the Tampa Bay comedians is everybody is unique. I've never seen somebody and I'm like, he's sort of like Anthony Jeselnik or he's sort of like this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because nothing makes me more mad than a hack comedian.
Well, what's cool about Tampa is that we don't really have there's not like one Tampa voice because we're so varied down here. Like when you go up to like Atlanta or Chicago, everybody kind of has a similar style comedy. New York comedians, you can tell a New York comedian when you see them because they all kind of got that Louis C.K. style. You can tell like a Chicago comic when you see them. They all got a certain style.
And they make the accent even more prevalent because they want to be funny. Like, the Bears. Like, we do have an accent. I'm from Chicago. We do have an accent. But I notice comedians from Chicago want the audience to know they're from Chicago. They're like, when I was drinking a beer and eating a bratwurst while at the Bulls game. It's like, shut up. It's so hacky. Because I would go to comedy shows in Chicago and they make it known. I'm from Pulaski Avenue. It's like, or if you watch one in Los Angeles, it's all about, I'm trying to be an actor, but during the day I'm an accountant. Like, it's just, you can tell when they're hacky because they try so hard to overcompensate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just a lack of originality in the writing. So you just kind of see the same thing over and over again. Not calling anybody from Chicago a hack or anything like that. I'm just saying.
It's such a big area that you have these little fishes that are trying to be something, and it just doesn't work. That's why I like Tampa, is because you can make a name for yourself immediately because it's a big city, but it's small networking. Same thing with radio. Dude, with Chicago, you have no fighting chance unless you have many connections.
Well, as far as I understand, the scene works up there. It's just like there's so few clubs to do, but down here we got just
Zanies,
a bunch.
and that's it. Zanies is the one.
Yeah, but down here we got a whole bunch of different venues to hit up.
You have Kava Comedy, right?
Yeah, that's one.
You have Kava Comedy, you have Side Splitters, you have the Improv, and then you have shows that Cigar City does, like at the New World Brewery, Dunedin. There's all these outlets for people to do shows, and I feel like in Chicago there's so much to do that you don't really have a chance.
Yeah, not to mention, we got the Orlando guys down there. They're doing their thing. I
want to see some Orlando comedy. Like, I want to get my name down there in Orlando because I've heard good things about Orlando.
There's a guy who's running a show called the Shit Sandwich Show. I recently
podcast.
No, it's a comedy. It's a comedy show that he does down in Orlando. He's trying to bring some of it over here to Bradenton. I did one at the Fox and the Hound over there.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good time, and he brought some of the Orlando guys over to do the show with him.
Were they funny?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The Orlando guys, they know what they're doing. They're more animated than the Tampa guys for sure.
Tampa seems like more pothead, like more, hey man. I feel like Tampa's different than Orlando because Orlando's more of a small podunk town compared to Tampa because you have so many people in the Bay Area: Clearwater, Newport Richie, Tampa, St. Pete. while Orlando's just Orlando. Am I right about that?
Well, it's a big tourist destination, but the people who go to the comedy clubs down in Orlando, they're not the tourists. They're the people who live there, so they kind of got their own built-in audience where it's like, oh, yeah, the tourists are off doing the touristy stuff, Disney and all those theme parks and stuff. We're down here at these clubs enjoying, real Orlando stuff.
What's the scene like down there? Is there more comedians than up here, or is it the same thing where it's a good amount and you can network?
I think there's a good amount that you can network. I'm not real familiar with all the people down in Orlando, though, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, because would you want to expand? Because my goal is I want to get my name throughout, like, let's say, Fort Myers, Orlando. My dream is to have my own morning show in Tampa or Miami, but for right now, I'm just focused on making my name a brand. So, like, how do you see yourself panning this out? Because you're very funny. How do you want to make this work?
Just do as many shows as I can and hopefully start getting paid for it.
Yeah, because how do you do it? Do you go to open mics and then shows and perform?
Well, yeah, you go to open mics, you try to get guest spots, you try to, people see that you're funny. They're like, okay, who can I get that's funny? Oh, Jerod Walker, I think he's funny. Let me book him on a show.
What is your favorite place to perform at?
That's a difficult question, man. I don't really perform too many shows, but probably my favorite place to perform is going to be the Dunedin Brewery on Monday nights. It's more of an
I've
open
been
mic
meaning
than
to go. I want to
show.
go to that, dude. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's a great time, man. Come on out. That's John J. Murray's room. He runs that every Monday. It's a good time. He lucked in to a great spot for comedy because it's a small room. It's always full of people. They've never had TVs inside, and they're already used to live performances going on there. So pretty much it's the perfect spot for comedies, and they just happen to have nothing going on Monday.
Is it hard, though, to perform when people are drinking? Because I had another comedian, and I forgot, and they said that you have to be aggressive to get their attention.
If they're drinking to excess. So if you're in, say, a Foo Bar in downtown St. Pete, that's a place I've done some comedy there with Kyle Roos.
Yes.
I think you had him on the show just
That's
recently.
the one that told me you need to be aggressive and you need to show them who's boss. That's the comedian that said that you need to just come out and kick ass when you're at a bar.
Kyle, I don't want to disagree with Kyle, but in my opinion, I think I performed the shows there. He's given me that advice, and I don't know if I just nailed it. I thought when I was doing time up there, I was just, as long as you're funny, that holds their attention. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, but a place like Foo Bar, they're heavy drinking. That's a heavy drinking bar. So when they
might appreciate it then.
Yeah, they appreciate it, but they'll probably go back to straight drinking if you lose their attention for even a second. In which case, you got to kind of master the room.
And do you call some of them out to have fun and play with them? Are you interacting with the crowd, or do you do your best?
If they're being obnoxious, yeah. If not, I try to just keep going through my act, man. Like if I'm funny, they'll pay attention.
How do you deal with people who either heckle or interrupt your show? Do you go on a rant, or do you just try to say, "Okay, shut up, you dumb broad," and you move on?
I try to make fun of them. Honestly, I don't want. Heckling is like dealing with a heckler it's a hard balance, man, because you gotta be funny and you gotta be mean, but if you're too mean, the audience turns on you on a dime. They'll turn on you real quick if you're too mean. So you can't go too mean,
because then when you're too mean, it doesn't work unless you're Jim Norton or you're Louis C.K.
If you're a
that's
mean
when
comic,
it can be mean.
Yeah, if you're a mean comic, if that's what you're known for, then people are like, oh yeah, go super hard.
And I think you have to be goofy looking to be mean, where it works for Jim Norton because he gets so animated that he just. Same with Jim Florentine. They're really good. There's something about the East Coast comedians that they're great at it. Anybody from New York.
Well, Jim Norton's a master, man.
Oh, dude, I saw him live. I got chills, dude. It was because he's just electric. He goes up there, screws up the first joke, and goes, "Why aren't you laughing, you sea suckers?" And the way he said it was so funny. And then the room.
Yeah, no, he's the kind of guy that can take any situation and just turn it around for him.
Really?
He's a master comic, man. He's been doing it forever.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where it's amazing how these guys are so crazy, yet they make it work. Like, I met Jim Norton off the air, and I interviewed him, and he's so genuine that you would never think in real life that he's out there being raunchy as hell. You know what I mean?
No, I hear what you're saying. A buddy of mine was saying to me, actually, like the cleanest comics, the guys who go up on stage, they do the cleanest comics, they're like the dirtiest people off stage.
And then is it flipped when it comes to dirty comics? And then
it just seems to be. I mean, you're dirty on stage. You got nothing, no dirty secrets to hide, kind of deal. So when you're off stage, you're just like, he's like, oh, I can be myself. I already said all the dirty stuff I do behind closed doors on stage.
Here's what I hate. I hate the comics who don't meet the fans afterwards, especially if you're at the Improv or Side Splitters. It's like, really? You're just going to hang out in the back room and just go on Twitter? Like, you can't meet some fans?
I hear what you're saying. I've got mixed opinions on that because, like, yeah, as a comedy fan, I want to meet my comedy idols. You know what I mean? But like as a comedian, I also understand, like, you just did a show. Maybe you're tired. You've been dealing with a lot of stuff. Maybe you're on tour. You might just be an awkward guy like us, man, who just like, the thought of talking to people you don't know.
I get a rush getting recognized at Bowen events or talking to fans. I think you need to appreciate each and every person that wants to come up to you, because unless you're Bieber or you're some famous celebrity where anybody will recognize you, any person that wants to meet you, you should take that as a blessing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Joe Rogan was actually saying something like that on his podcast. You ever listen to Joe
I love
Rogan's
his show.
Yeah, Joe Rogan was talking about how makes a point to meet all his fans that want to meet him. So
that's what I like. I've met a lot of guys. Adam Carolla was great too. I met him when I bought his Mangria a few months ago, and I just love the guys that are super successful, but they'll take the time of like a minute or two to talk to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you met anybody that was cool like that?
I've met quite a few people. I talked to Kyle Kinane for a minute after he did his show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Down here. Nice guy. He was kind of drunk at the end of the show.
I think that's a good thing though, because then he's more open maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I just stopped by to say hey. It was just like I was on my way out. I was like, hey, I don't want to bother you, but I'm a big fan. Shook his hand.
You know who I want to see in a few weeks at Side Splitters, and I want to get him on the show? Joe Mackey.
Joe Mackey, he's great.
That dude. I was watching a whole clip. They had like 9 clips in a row on YouTube of him playing the crazy analyst on Fox News.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, dude. I love how he just goes out there and he's just himself. I can appreciate that comedy. Like everything he says, he's sort of like a clean version of Gilbert Gottfried. Just his approach is so funny, dude.
Yeah. Hey, I want to go back a second here on what we were talking about. We kind of got interrupted.
Yeah.
We were talking about Amy Schumer and whether or not she like stole some jokes like that. I don't think that she did. I just want to say that like a lot of the jokes that she's being claimed to steal are like bits that she did on her show, not bits in her stand-up. And a lot of times writers, like just like other radio guys, they'll go and take bits. Thank you.
That's what I heard on the Jim Norton show on Sirius XM is like, and jokes always get taken.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to be original now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's like I heard that on Jim Norton's thing. I heard it on Joe Rogan where he was talking about it, how like they got writers for In Living Color got banned from the Comedy Store because they would just sit in the back with notes and like take premises from comics.
Pathetic. That's a horrible thing to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I hate hacks. I hate people that are not original. Like there's nothing that makes me more mad than it's like just be yourself. If you're not funny, you shouldn't be in this business of radio, TV, theater, comedy, whatever. Like if you're copying people, how do you look yourself in a mirror? I
don't know how anybody can be unoriginal and feel good about themselves. Like I didn't do this, but I did. Like I said, when I was growing up, big comedy fan, so I would tell jokes, you know, from the comics I'd seen in high school, but I'd always be like this isn't my joke. I heard this. This is great. You got to listen. Check out this dude. You know, credit where credit's due. You know.
What podcast do you listen to in your free time?
I probably don't listen to any.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Something Planet with John J. Murray.
Love that show.
Co-host it. I've never listened to an episode.
Because I'm the opposite. I have such an ego that I want to hear how I'm doing, so I'll listen on my way home. Like, I'll be listening to this moment that we're talking about it at some point when I'm in the car because I want to hear how I'm doing, but then I don't listen again. Yeah,
if I said I listen, honestly, if a bit of an ego myself, so like when I'm on someone else's podcast, I listen to that episode where I'm on it. Yeah. So I'll be listening to this one.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, do you like your voice? Because I don't know how to describe mine.
No, not at all. I don't like anything about myself.
Really?
No.
I don't know, man. I'm trying to appreciate myself more, but it's just weird. Like, I'll have a show that I don't think is good, and then people say it's good. Like, it's weird how self-confidence works. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you. It's either too much or too little.
Yeah, the people that are too much are the ones that aren't confident. And then the people that aren't confident are the ones that should be confident. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But everybody, every artist at least, you want to consider yourself an artist. Like, I find most artists, like, they don't like what they do, man.
Yeah.
They're always so hypercritical of their stuff. Like, you're a painter, you put out a painting, you just, as an artist, you just learned something new from that painting.
But that's how
so
the
now you recognize, like, I could have done better.
Yeah.
So you just gotta it's something about that but it keeps you driving forward and keeps trying to improve. So it's kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing.
Now, where do you want to see yourself in like 5 years?
In 5 years, hopefully, on the road doing gigs, getting paid.
How do you want to make that happen? Are there mentors who are helping you?
Yeah, there's definitely mentors. John J. Murray, like I said, he's my best friend. He's definitely helping me.
Really good dude.
Yeah, he's definitely helping me out, giving me tips and the stuff he's already gone through. Any of the comics in Cigar City Comedy, they're all good buddies of mine.
I've had almost every one of them on.
Yeah. They were telling me about the show. But,
what did they say?
Good things.
Yeah,
Good
man.
things.
Law Smith was the first one I had on, and he killed it. And then I was actually nervous. I came with all this prep, everything I wrote in a row. Like, who's your influence? Who'd you grow up listening to? And then I just realized you guys are easy to talk to because you're paid to talk. That's why I do this, because it helps my interview skills, gives you guys exposure. It helps me out. It's networking.
Actually, before you contacted me being on the show, I was actually talking to Rob G over from Cowhead Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing comedy now as well.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him at a show, actually, that I was on a show with Johnny B a while back on the Aviator show that Rob G was on there. We were talking about your show, what you were doing, how, like, you were talking to comics, and that was a good idea. Judd Apatow used to do the same thing when he was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, like back before he started doing movies with Paul Rudd, what he would do is he would he was like a high school radio broadcaster. Like, his high school had a radio tower, and he was able to broadcast from it. So he was just calling up comics because he was a big comedy fan. He was a big comic nerd back when he was in high school.
I never knew that.
Yes, he was constantly. He wrote a book about it, actually. It has all the interviews.
He's an underrated genius.
Oh, I wouldn't say he's underrated.
I don't know. I think that was the worst word to use to describe Judd Apatow. He's a genius.
Yeah, for sure. He's great. And one hilarious thing that happened in there is that he got hold, like, this was before comedy was really, like, comics were famous, like, they were famous comics, you know? It was just kind of a thing, and he got hold of one of the bigger comics out there. I don't remember exactly who, and after he interviewed the guy, he was like, yeah, if you know any other comics, you have any comic friends that want to be interviewed by me, let me know. And he's like, oh yeah, let me get you all their names, addresses, and information. And he, like, gave them all, like, the top comics touring at the time that he was friendly, like,
awesome.
Like Louis Anderson.
I love Louis.
Let's see who else was big around then. Blanking out of my head. Doesn't matter. He gave them all, because this to him, it means the world. Meant the world of this kid doing it. But to him, it was like, it's a funny joke to play on his friends. Like, he gives this kid out of nowhere everybody's information.
What works about my show, and anybody that reaches out to people like you or me or anybody from Cigar City Comedy, is it's helping us out. It's flattering, it's networking, and at the end of the day, we mean nothing to this world compared to everybody that's on this planet. The billions of people that are on this planet, we mean nothing. So if one person reaches out, that's flattering. I'll have so many people reach out to me, dude.
Nice.
How do you book the... No, I mean people that say, like, how do you book the guests? How do you do it? It's like, there's this thing called Facebook.
Yeah.
There's a keyboard, and I say, hey, Jerod, do you want to come on my show? Or I say, hey, Law, do you want to come on my show? Like, everybody finds it so insane that I book guests. It's flattering, but I just reach out.
It's got to ask. The same thing, how do you get gigs? Ask. You got to ask people. Ask for the gigs. That's how you do it. You can't sit around and wait for, maybe somebody will pick up the phone and give me a gig. No, ask. Ask them, man. Go up to one of the Bobs at one of the comedy clubs and be like, hey, Bob, can I get a guest spot? Yeah. You get 100% of the gigs you don't ask for, whatever.
That's what Michael Jordan said, something like that.
Something like that. Some kind of sports talk.
There's always those sports quotes. Like, I think it's you'll miss 100% of the shots you don't shoot. Something.
Yeah, that's close enough.
And then you don't hit a home run and score the goal. Like, whatever.
Sports ball, man. Who needs? It's time for sports and girlfriends, man. I got comic books and cartoons to watch.
That's how you get the pussy. Nothing like watching South Park after.
That's right. It's a 30-year game plan.
Do you watch sports at all?
I watch UFC. I'm a big UFC fan.
Oh, that's like the last thing I watch. I get into NFL and NBA. That's it.
NFL and NBA?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I grew up in Chicago with the Bears and then the Bulls, so I get into that. I don't know. I like watching people that are more athletic than me. I was supposed to be athletic, but then God said, Ryan Hoppe, you will have no coordination whatsoever. So I kind of lived through them. Like, dude, I get into my Madden on my Xbox One. Last night, I came back from being down by 24 points. And it was the most insane feeling ever. And then I'm like,
man,
it's 2:40 in the morning. I got to go to bed.
I'm a video game fanatic, but I can't get into video game sports.
Oh, dude, Madden, I could play 4 games in a row, dude. And you're like, crap, it's 4 in the afternoon.
Oh, man,
I can play that. That's my crack, dude.
I'd whip that game across the room, and then I'd put in The Witcher 3. I'd be like, no, I got to kill virtual dragons, man. I don't got time for sports.
What game is that? I've never heard of it.
Witcher 3? Oh, man, it's a badass game. Game of the year.
Never heard of it. I don't even... Is it like Far Cry?
No, it's like a medieval...
Look at me spitting out names. Yeah. I don't know. Is it like Far Cry?
No, it's not a shooter, man. It's you play as a dude who's a witcher. You hunt monsters with a sword and magic.
That sounds pretty fun.
It's pretty cool. Let's compromise. We'll split the difference. Fallout 4.
Is there a game called Far Cry?
Yes.
Or did I make that up?
No, Far Cry, that's a game.
You know what game I used to play back in the day, like 10 years ago? RuneScape.
RuneScape. I helped somebody fix a computer once because they were like, I want to play RuneScape.
How old was he, 14?
He was like 6.
Oh, then that makes sense. That was the complete demographic of RuneScape. Yeah. Well, you had to get the software on the computer, and it took so long to set up. I might actually get RuneScape tonight if it's available on the computer. I might actually have to get RuneScape tonight.
I'm pretty
to
sure
feel like
it
I'm in
is.
2007
Every time I go
again.
into 7-Eleven, I see free RuneScape cards.
Yeah, right.
So, it's
RuneScape, Club Penguin,
it's still
Facebook.
Getting popular.
How about Farmville when everyone's like, I got to check my farm, see what's up. It's like...
Does that even still exist?
I don't even know.
I don't know. I did... Everybody complains about like Facebook games. You can block that shit, right?
Yeah, there's an app for that.
Well, there's a button on there that says block Facebook games, and I did that.
I'm sick of seeing the post where it's like, quit inviting me to games. It's like, well, then defriend these douchebags that do it. No, I don't want to have 500 points for some slots.
Well, 500 points? I kind of want 500 points. Send me your Facebook game requests, everybody.
I don't like Facebook games at all. I find them to be boring. You know what I mean?
Really? Maybe you're just not playing the right ones. I'll send you some invites, man.
I might have to defriend you.
You got some Candy Crush invites, man. Like, you'll get like 3 free games. I'll get like 5 free games. We'll just keep inviting each other back and forth. It's quite the deal. Man. Yeah, absolutely.
Where can people find you on Facebook so they can get haunted with your game requests?
You can find me on Facebook. I'm Jerod Walker. I think it's /corporate Jerod. I think that's my / on there. I don't even remember anymore. But my name is spelled Jerod. It's like terrible. My mom decided that she wanted me to be unhappy forever, so she spelled my name wrong. You can also find me on Twitter @TheJaredWalker. Again, it's Jerod is my name. If you spell it the correct way, you won't find me.
I will be sure to tweet this out, put it on my fan page, and then on Facebook, dude. You are great. I like having comedians in here because it's a real discussion. Because sometimes if you have an artist in here, they're good at singing or rapping, but they're a dud when it comes to being anything in real life. But comedians are legit.
Well, interviews are hard, man. Like I said, we do Something Planet is our podcast that me and John J. Murray do. Yeah. And when we started off in our own niche. market where we were interview local musicians. That's what we started off.
You got to get your name out in Tampa. That's the thing to do.
And local musicians, great guys. We all of them terrible interviews. They're quiet. They don't really know how to speak on a mic.
I had one guy in here who was on a TV show for music, and he was high out of his mind.
What's his name?
I'll tell you off air. And he, dude, oh my Lord. I sing. I'm like, oh my God, dude. And I was mad. He reeked the weed. So keep up the good work, dude.
All right, thanks.
I love what you're doing, and I love Tampa Bay and the comedy scene. So I've had a lot of fun having you on, man.
And I don't know when this is coming out, but I will be at Peggy O'Neill's in Oldsmar on Saturday. Show being put together by local comedian Dave Hines. Kyle Roos is going to be on that show. It's going to be a good time.
This show will be up in about an hour. So tweet me the info, and I'll retweet it, or message me on Facebook, and I'll be sure to tweet it out. Sounds good, bro?
Man. Yeah, I'll hit you up.
This has been Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, saying peace out.
Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour.